Welcome, everyone. Let's dive into a discussion on nuclear conflict preparation amid escalating India Pakistan tensions. The situation following Operation Sindoor is truly precarious and demands immediate strategic planning.
I'm really intrigued by the urgency here. With nuclear weapons and tens of millions of potential casualties, which aspects do you see as most critical at this point?
Right, so the report really breaks everything down into essential steps for survival. It starts with understanding the crisis, like a deadly attack in Kashmir triggered the situation, and then India's massive missile strikes, which Pakistan responded
Yep.
to as acts of war. It's like the whole scenario is a ticking time bomb.
Definitely a ticking bomb. And then it shifts into what preparation citizens should focus on, right?
Absolutely. It covers a huge range of preparations, from stockpiling water supplies, detailed evacuation planning, radiation protection, even psychological readiness. And these steps are absolutely critical if things take a nuclear turn.
Right. Wow, so we're talking about both physical supplies and mental preparedness. Could you break down the water preparedness piece?
Sure, it emphasizes having at least 1 gallon per person per day for a minimum of 30 days, ideally extending that to 90 days in a full blown nuclear scenario. And, it outlines purification methods like filters that remove radiological particles, chemical treatments, and distillation equipment. Essentially, it's about ensuring safe drinking water despite contamination risks.
That's quite comprehensive. And it's interesting how it also suggests having rainwater, harvesting systems, and radiation water testing kits. It really leaves no stone unturned.
Exactly, and it even dives into food security. You got your 90-day supply of calorie-dense, nutrient-packed foods with a shelf life possibly exceeding 25 years. It's very much like preparing for a marathon survival scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. And they don't just stop at food. They also mention self-sufficiency tools like indoor growing equipment. That part was really innovative.
Right, it's like not only stocking up, but learning to produce food when outside conditions become hostile. Plus, there's the emphasis on multiple cooking methods, which range from propane stoves to even solar ovens. Basically, make sure you have a fail-safe way to cook without power dependence.
Now, shifting gears a bit, what do you make of the detailed medical preparations? There's a strong focus on radiation-specific supplies like potassium iodide tablets, broad-spectrum antibiotics, and all the emergency medical kits.
Oh, yeah. The report gets into a lot of details there. It stresses having a robust emergency medical kit, including wound care, prescription medications, and respiratory protection like N95 respirators. You see, in a radiological crisis, every minute counts, and these supplies can be life-saving.
Right, I get that. It really paints a picture of how, in such scenarios, every resource, from water to medical supplies, becomes a primary line of defense. Yet, I'm wondering, doesn't building an effective fallout shelter immediately seem almost out of reach for many?
That's an interesting point. While the report does lay out detailed guidelines for creating a fallout shelter and stresses that the initial 48 hours are critical, it also acknowledges that many might not have immediate access to fully equipped shelters. However, it suggests pre-positioning supplies and ensuring that your shelter can be immediately occupied.
I see. So there's some flexibility built in, almost a tiered approach to preparation.
Exactly, it's a multi-layered strategy. Beyond physical infrastructure, it lays out reliable methods for radiation detection and communication. For example, investing in quality Geiger counters and dosimeters is crucial because radiation is invisible and you need clear data to make informed
Yeah, I
decisions
find that really
about
insightful.
safety.
And on the communication front, the report heavily emphasizes satellite communications and ham radios as backups when conventional networks fail.
Definitely. In a crisis where infrastructure might be completely compromised, having robust, independent communication systems, satellite phones with solar charging capabilities, and reliable amateur radio setups could be the difference between isolation and connection.
What about power? I noticed there's a significant section on ensuring power through battery banks, portable solar panels, and even small wind turbines for longer-term needs.
Yes, power independence is a key theme. The report details immediate needs, like power for essential devices such as flashlights and communication tools, and extends into medium to long term solutions with renewable energy sources. It's essentially a plan to keep your basic life supporting systems up and running when the grid is down.
Makes perfect sense. Now, one point that really stood out to me was the financial preparation part. Maintaining cash reserves, precious metals, and secure documentation, it's almost like preparing for a complete economic blackout.
Exactly, and that's crucial because in a crisis that might disrupt global supply chains and lead to massive financial instability, having tangible assets like small denomination currency and precious metals can literally keep you afloat.
Yeah, I agree. I do have a little challenge here though. Some might argue that hoarding cash and metals is only marginally useful if the entire infrastructure collapses. What do you think about that?
That's a fair point, however, even in a collapse, barter and local exchanges become vital. Cash, especially small bills, can facilitate this trade, and precious metals provide a universal value assurance. It's about creating multiple layers of resilience.
I see what you mean. And beyond the physical and financial aspects, the psychological preparedness really grabbed my attention. The report talks about recognizing normal stress responses and developing stress management techniques.
Absolutely. Preparing mentally is as important as having supplies. The document advises studying the effects of nuclear events to build a knowledge-based confidence, as well as practicing mindfulness, tactical breathing, and establishing community networks. It's like making sure you're mentally primed to handle intense stress without letting it overwhelm your rational decision-making.
Yep, that's so true. And that community resilience bit, forming networks of households that can share resources and skills, is extremely insightful, don't you think?
Totally. It suggests building networks of about 7-12 households, where each member has specific skills like medical, technical, or security. This shared approach not only multiplies resources, but also builds a safety net against the isolation that can creep in during crises.
Collaborative survival. What about families with children? I noticed there's a section on special considerations for them, including age-appropriate education and emotional support systems.
Yes, that's an essential segment. It advises that families already start preparing, without causing undue trauma, by using play to build skills and by having child-specific medical and emotional support systems in place. It's about easing the kids into this reality without inciting panic while simultaneously ensuring their safety.
Parenting under crisis conditions is so tough. And then there's the detailed evacuation planning. The report specifies having vehicles with extended range, mapping multiple evacuation routes, and even prepping the vehicle with air filtration systems for radioactive particles.
Exactly. Evacuation planning is broken down meticulously. It talks about having at least a 72-hour readiness window with a prepared plan that includes spare fuel, alternative routes, and even EMP protection for your vehicle electronics, which is a very futuristic but necessary touch given the circumstances.
That's really forward-thinking. I like the decision framework outlined for evacuation too. Balancing distance from blast zones and prevailing wind patterns, which is something many might overlook in a panic.
Absolutely. It's about establishing clear, observable triggers for evacuation rather than letting anxiety drive the decision. The framework essentially guides you based on concrete indicators like wind direction affecting fallout dispersal.
Right, concrete metrics over gut feelings. And, not to forget, the report wraps up with a 7-day action plan. From assessment and acquisition to planning, and finally, practice drills. It really provides a step-by-step guide that people can follow immediately.
Yes, it emphasizes that preparation isn't a one-off event, but an ongoing process. Starting from day one with inventory checks and ending with practice drills, it reinforces the importance of continuous improvement and community coordination in a scenario where every moment matters.
No time to waste. So, overall, the document is thorough, almost like a survival manual for a worst-case scenario. I mean, it covers everything from physical, mental, and financial strategies to community resilience.
Exactly. It's comprehensive. And while some might see it as extreme preparedness, the underlying message is that when we face threats with such high stakes, having layered, redundant strategies is not just smart, it's essential.
Yep, absolutely. I guess the biggest takeaway for everyone listening is that no single preparation step is enough on its own. It demands a holistic approach, balancing your supplies, infrastructure, and mental readiness.
Right on. It's like building an intricate safety net. Every element, from water and food security to efficient evacuation and psychological resilience, plays a crucial role. And even if you think you're overprepared, a nuclear conflict scenario leaves no room for complacency.
Indeed. Thanks for this deep dive. It really underscores how multifaceted crisis planning has to be in today's unstable world.
For sure it does. And as unsettling as it sounds, stepping up our readiness by understanding all these layers can be the key to safeguarding ourselves and our communities, even in the worst case scenario.
Absolutely, very critical. I appreciate the insights and the nuanced approach here. It really feels like preparing for a catastrophic event is as much about physical logistics as it is about mental fortitude and community bonds.
Exactly. And that balance is what makes this guide so robust. It isn't just about stockpiling supplies, it's about preparing holistically, learning continuously, and staying connected with others who share this common need for resilience.
Yep, well said. Thanks for joining in on this conversation. I think for anyone listening, it's a wake-up call to start planning, learning, and connecting with those around you.
Absolutely. Remember, while we hope these scenarios remain theoretical, better be prepared than caught unawares. Stay safe and stay informed.